Hello, fellow Earthlings. My name is Rogan, and you're watching The Mysterious Stoner in Ebola. Last week, I talked about some of the experiences that I went through over there in the foreign country, just regarding using the bathroom here and there. So, if you haven't seen that, let me tell you, that was an experience, but go back and see that video if you haven't seen it. And I may do a video in the future with in regards to more experiences that I had, so that you can learn a bit more about this foreign country. But for now, we're going to get back into the chronological order of the way events were occurring in my life. So my sister had run away. I was 5 or 6, maybe 7 around the time, and it was just my parents, my next oldest brother, and myself. Not long after, though, my next oldest brother, let me remind you, was 11 years older. Well, still is. He's still alive. He's 11 years older than myself. So he was getting older. He was getting ready to move out himself. And it didn't feel very long after, but he ended up going to an all-boys college, Christian college, in the foreign country we were missionaries in, but in a different city, few hours away. So I got used to not seeing him so often. And then he ended up moving out eventually. And he went to the United States, got his own citizenship over there. And while he was over there, he fell in love with a girl. And so, the Christian girl, of course, because that's the only kind of girl that boys in my family are allowed to marry. Christians, anyways. But so we went over, and he ended up getting married, and it was actually really hard for me. I was getting used to him being gone, but I thought that when he got married, that I would never see him again, or that I wouldn't even see him every year. I thought it was gonna be rare when I saw him again, and we had grown close over the years, between the time he completely moved out and when my sister left. Now, fortunately, I was not entirely without friends. There were 2 of the families that had decided to stay long term with us on the mission field. One family had teenagers, and the other family had a 5 and 2 or 3-year-old. And of course, I was right in the middle. We were the only ones on this mission field, of course, that could speak English, who knew each other. And so we tried to hang out as often as we could, because the rest of the time we were by ourselves, or with our siblings. We did make friends with local kids here and there along the way, but most of the time we ended up moving on, or they ended up moving, and plus we didn't know the language, so communication was always kind of a difficult thing. And obviously, we always preferred hanging out with each other, if we could. There was one local friend I made, about my age, who would eventually come to play a major role in my life down the road. I don't remember exactly how my family met hers, but her and her older sister were abused by her parents. And I don't know how much my father was involved. I know he went over, he tried to help out with the family and all that, being a pastor, missionary type of guy that he is. But eventually the government decided to take both kids away from their parents and put them in an orphanage permanently. My parents not only stayed in contact with the girls, they were able to get the orphanage to let the girls stay over every other weekend. And they even did some of their missionary work in the orphanage with their Sunday school type meetings and stuff. Songs, games, Bible story. It's usually what it consisted of, and lasted about a half hour, and was about once a week, something like that. Of course, these girls made it into the pictures and slides that my dad would show to all the churches that were supporting us back in our home country. And on one of our visits back home, one of the churches that my father was speaking at, where he did his slide presentation and all that, one of the families there already had 4 kids of their own, I think, decided to, well, the way they put it was, the Lord laid it on their heart to adopt those 2 girls. Of course, my parents were more than happy to help. We had them over to our place in the foreign country and everything. We introduced them to the girls in person. And usually with this country, they are famous for their adoptions taking a very long time, usually multiple years, 2 at least, sometimes 5 or more even. But lucky for them, they managed to take care of everything in less than a year. Our families became pretty good friends, and we stayed in contact for a long time after everything had been said and done. We visited them every time we went back to our home country. But you know, down the road, I discovered that even though they were, well, the parents of that family, they were as genuine in their beliefs as my parents, but they were a bit further out there than mine, to where I was grateful to be born into my family and not theirs. Now, if you're wondering what a highly conservative Christian household, more strict than mine, would have as far as an effect goes on 2 orphan girls from a foreign country, I can't share with you the details. But what I can tell you is that it has not gone any better than the way things have gone in my own immediate family. And while this is not the last time you will be hearing of this family, I am out of time for today. So I hope you will be back next week. And remember, if you find my videos educational, entertaining, interesting, relatable, or you know someone who can relate to some of the stuff I'm talking about in my videos, please leave a like, subscribe, maybe even share. The more you do, the more it helps me to get these videos out there. Because the bigger my channel gets, not only will I be able to educate more people on what it's like to be a child in a missionary family, but I will also be able to reach out to other people who used to be missionary kids like I was, and maybe help some of them who are still struggling to adjust to living in the real world. Anyways, you stay safe, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and until next time, my friends, farewell.